What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be baking a cake. All you need is 6 ingredients and 60 minutes of your time. Let's get baking. The easiest cake ever. It's called a Napoleon cake. It's a dupe of the actual Napoleon cake. This is the way my mom, my sister, and all of us used to bake. So here I'm gonna show you guys the 6 ingredients that you'll need. So you'll need 3 packs of the puff pastry sheets. You'll need 3 cups of heavy cream. And then you'll need 1 stick of unsalted butter, 2 packs of the 8-ounce Philadelphia cream cheese, 1 condensed milk, 14 ounce. First, you're gonna need to preheat your oven to 400. We already preheated our oven, and now we're gonna get started rolling out our pastry dough. I'm gonna make sure that my puff pastry is unthawed. Let's pull it out. I left it out of the fridge for a little while. And if it gets too warm, you wanna put it back into your fridge because you don't want the butter leaking out of the, whenever you're baking it, you don't want the butter to leak out. And if it leaks out, it ain't gonna be puff pastry. It's gonna be, I don't even know what it's gonna be. All right, so this next part is really important. We're gonna prep our rolling area here. We're gonna roll out our pastry. Make sure you have some flour. You don't need a lot, but just sprinkle it on your counter like this. So this is important because when you roll out your pastry dough, you don't want it to stick to the counter. You want to be able to like scoop it right into your parchment paper. The pastry dough is usually folded like this. I like to unfold it and just have the lines vertical. No, horizontal. Horizontal. And then once the lines are horizontal, I'll get my rolling pin and I'll just roll it out once, like this. I do use quite a bit of pressure on the, because it's straight out of the fridge and it's not super soft, so you kind of want to put a little pressure to your pastry dough. I also have this pre-cut parchment paper that I use as a guide. It's 10 by 13, so I kind of just follow that. So I'll lay it over my pastry dough like this, and then you see it's almost there, so I'll pull it up and I'll roll it a little bit more out, and then I'll turn it. Right here, I'm just gonna put a little bit more flour. I'll turn it and I'll scoop this one the other way. There we go. Actually, let me do one more roll to make sure it fits the parchment paper. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. And don't worry if it goes out of your parchment paper guide. We're going to be trimming the edges later at the assembly, whenever we assemble the cake. All right, let's grab our parchment paper, and I'm just going to put this pastry dough right on the parchment paper. And this is the most important step. Let me grab a fork real quick. You'll need a fork, and you'll need to poke holes on your entire sheet of pastry dough. If you don't do this, your pastry dough will puff up and you will not have a flat pastry dough. So make sure you score it really well and poke it all the way through. It's just to help the air escape somewhere. Maybe I'm a little too much, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. The reason you want your dough to be flat, it's because whenever you start assembling your cake, you don't want it to be lopsided. You kind of want to have a natural, even kind of square cake. The other thing is that I forgot to mention, your cake does not have to be square. It can be whatever shape your heart desires. This is just the way I prefer it. It can be a circle, it can be a square, it can be a diamond, whatever you like. All right, I think I'm good. I think maybe I went a little overboard, but we're good. All right, now you're gonna need your baking sheet. I'm gonna grab my baking sheet. I already have my cooling rack ready to roll, and I'm just gonna swipe. I'm gonna pull this onto your baking sheet right there. And now we're gonna transfer it into the oven. I put mine on the lower rack. Do not put yours on the, well, it actually depends on what kind of oven you have. I'm gonna show you guys what I did earlier. Let me put this down in here real quick. We're gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. It can be between 13 to 15 minutes. It really depends on your oven. I already pre-baked a few sheets earlier, but the reason you wanna make sure you watch your pastry dough really well, because it can literally burn in seconds. I'm gonna show you guys. So I baked these earlier. This one was 13 minutes on the top rack, and this one right here was 15 minutes on the lower rack. I mean, come on. I'm definitely not gonna be using this one. This one's really crispy. You kind of don't want it to be like that. You kind of want it to be golden brown, so you really want to watch your pastry dough. So this is a beautiful pastry, baked perfect pastry, and this is kind of the thickness you want it to be. It's not going to be perfect level, but you don't want it to be like this. This, I didn't score it enough. See that right there? It's extra puffy. So whenever you start stacking your cake layers, it's going to be like extra holy. Even if you burn yours a little bit like this, it's not a total loss. We're gonna use one of the baking sheets for the crumb coat. It's not yet golden brown, so we're gonna wait a little bit more, but you gotta really watch your pastry dough because it can actually burn really, really fast. You can bake 2 at a time. I'm just being a little lazy and I'm baking 1 at a time. But you can actually bake 2 at a time and the process is a lot faster. Alrighty, one of our pastry doughs is all done. All right, look at that. This is a perfect piece. It's golden brown. It's not puffy anywhere crazy. It's like the perfect height. Look at that. All of our 6 pieces baked and ready to cool. I'm actually gonna sit it here like this for a second. And then while this last one is cooling, we're gonna start our pastry cream, our frosting. This was my first one I rolled out and I wasn't thinking and I rolled it out wrong and I made it into like a square instead of a rectangle. There you go. Like that's not gonna work. That ain't gonna work. We already have our KitchenAid mixer to go. We have our whisk all set up. Now we're gonna go in with our ingredients. We already have our heavy cream pre-measured. There's 3 cups. We have our Philadelphia cream cheese, 2 packs, 1 stick of butter, and a whole can of 14-ounce sweetened condensed milk. Make sure your butter is softened. Like you'll see, if your finger can indent it, then that's good. Don't have it super soft or super hard. Same thing with your cream cheeses. Make sure that they are at room temperature as well, that they're softened. And the heavy cream, I'm gonna put it right back into the fridge. I'll have it out on the counter, but the heavy cream needs to be cold for the whole process because it won't whip up as well. So the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need your cream cheese. You're gonna put your cream cheese, your butter, and your condensed milk all together. So don't worry, I know we put in a whole can of this, but the cake itself is not sweet. So this is where all the sweetness is gonna come from. So let's combine all these 3 ingredients together. Get it all. Don't let a drop go to waste. This is the yummy stuff. Okay. Perfect. Right. Let's turn this on. So I'm just gonna stop the mixer for a few minutes and I'm just gonna scrape the sides on whatever butter just splashed up. And you can tell it's already almost super smooth and rich. You just have to watch it. It takes about maybe like 2 to 3 minutes to combine really well. Let's run it just a little bit more and then we'll add our heavy whip, heavy cream. Oh my gosh, it's so yummy. All right, our cream is buttery smooth and now it's time to add our heavy cream. Just add it all in. And make sure it's cold, not warm. And then we're just gonna blend it. Let's mix it on low first so it all blends in and then you're gonna turn it on higher. Are you serious? Oh yeah, that right there is what it's supposed to look like. Nice and fluffy. You have to watch it really well because you can overbeat the heavy cream actually. Look at that beautiful, oh my goodness. Let me just stop, I'm gonna stop the mixer and just double check everything and make sure it's not overbeating. Let me just grab the back of this spoon. Oh yeah, right there. That's a perfect. That right there is the perfect kind of frosting. Yum, delicious. We put our frosting into the fridge just to keep it cool, and now we're gonna trim up our pastry dough. I decided that this was gonna be my ugly piece and I'm just gonna go whack like that. So I'm just gonna crush it because this is gonna be my crumb coat for the top of the cake. Just go crazy, get your frustration out, get it. It's just gonna crush it and make it into smaller pieces. Part, you're gonna need a long knife and you're gonna need your pastry pieces, your pastry dough. And the first thing I did is I lined up one side. I made it really straight and even because you're gonna do some trimming because look at this. This ain't right. This ain't right. If you get your pastry dough perfect, all power to you. So I'm gonna score it first and then pull it off so I don't crush the other ones real quick. And don't worry about it being extra perfect because this is all about homemade and nothing needs to be perfect and it's literally all about the flavor. This cake, I'm telling you, you guys, it's fabulous and tasty. I made the first one into a template. So I decided that I was gonna have this shape right here. And I've been using this one to cut out all my other pieces. So this was the second one I cut out. So I just like trimmed it around. I'm gonna grab my next one. This is my template and I'm gonna put the one that I'm gonna trim on the bottom of my template. I'm gonna lay the one that I already pre-trimmed and I'm just gonna trim around it. The trimmings, I just put it into this pile right here where I had all my other one that I crushed so I can have extra flakes for the crumb coat. Let's trim this bad boy right here that I really screwed up. Okay, so I'm just gonna score it. Perfect. Check the sides. Score it, and then I'm gonna lay my template to the side real quick, and I'm just gonna. Ready to assemble our cake. We have all of our crumb all ready to go. We have our cream and then we have our trimmed pieces of pastry. I just grabbed whatever is gonna work for my cake. I don't really have a lot of cake platters. So now we're just gonna grab one of our pieces of pastry and if it's just perfect. And then we're gonna grab some cream. Put one big dollop of the cream. You can even do two. Do two. Just do two. Yeah. This is gonna keep our layers all together. And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be tasty. I put a whole dollop of cream right in the middle of the pastry, and then I'm spreading it out edge to edge. Don't be nervous to get on the outside because we're actually gonna cover the outside as well. So just gotta go right around to the edge so it gets every little corner. And then once we have that, let me just check, make sure that it's kind of even. Perfect. And then we're gonna get our next layer and put it right on top. And we're just gonna grab another 2 big dollops. Look at that. And I'm just gonna spread it again, edge to edge. And just keep checking around the cake to make sure that it's even too. That's why it's important that your pastry dough is cooled and not warm, because if it's warm, your cream is gonna start melting and the layers are gonna start sliding. And make sure that your cream is also cold as well. This is our last pastry piece. The cream that you have left over, we're gonna coat the entire cake, top, sides, all the sides, and then we're gonna sprinkle our flakes. Ta-da! Let's put a good amount. Man, I am messy. This cake is gonna taste so good. Like, this cake is so easy and so good. That's the crazy thing. It's so easy. 6 ingredients, that's it. The hardest part is baking the pastry. That's it. Everything else is pretty easy. And you bring this to Thanksgiving or you bring this to Christmas dinner, bruh, people are gonna love you. This cake, usually you can eat this cake in 2 hours because you kind of want it to stand. But the longer you wait, the better the taste is, for sure. The better the cake tastes, the more it really soaks into, the cream soaks into the pastry. But if you bake the pastry correctly, you'll still have a nice crunch in the pastry. This pastry dough, it reminds me of when me and my mom would go to Atlanta and we would buy boxes of all the dough. It was like boxes of dough because we would be making these kind of cakes for like almost every holiday, and she would just have a stash of the pastry dough. And it's just crazy because now it's like you can go and get it anywhere, and I don't think we even knew you could get it at Walmart. It was crazy. You don't have to make this extra perfect because all of this is going to get covered with the crumbs. So don't go OCD on yourself. So I'm just going to make sure that I don't have too big of pieces before I grab a handful. So just going to grab a handful, make sure we don't get chunks in there. And if you do, you can pull them off the cake, no big deal. You're just going to slowly sprinkle the crumbs everywhere. Whatever your heart desires, how creative you want to be. This is let your creativity flow. But I'm just going to coat the entire cake with this crumb since I have so much. It just reminds me of those good old days of running around, baking, making a bunch of stuff. So we're going to grab a handful of crumbs. We're just gonna go, it's gonna be messy. I think it's gonna be messy. We're just gonna go like that. Literally, this is how my mom taught me. So don't judge. This is how my mom taught me. This is how we do it. Every cook for themselves, right? Tossing the crumbs against the cake. I'm just tossing it like that. The other technique I seen was that they just like pat it like that. You can do that instead of throwing it like a lunatic. Like you just pat it. And this part's a little messy, so that's okay. It's worth it. I want to show you the difference. This is padding. This side is padded. You can see it's so matted down. And this side right here, which I love better, is more like flaky. And the flakes just more, they're more like 3D and they like pop out. We're gonna clean this up a little bit. Just gonna flake it off, just clean it up. Beautiful, look at that, easy peasy, just clean it up. When you're done doing this cake, I'm telling you, everybody's gonna be like, who that? Who's this beautiful thing? I mean, look at that, gorgeous. So I just have a few extra things you can actually add. If you want to add a little bit of, you know, any kind of fruit, if you want to add some almond slices on top just to make it look extra cute. I'm just going to add a little berries on the corners of my cake. Look at this. Little berries, little blueberries, extra, make sure it's cute. Little raspberry, and that's it. I think I'm pretty set with that. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. Look at that, it's beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys at our next video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time.